Hey everybody, and welcome to Tower City Media. My name is
Hi,
Shane.
and I'm Connor. And what are we doing here? Why am I here today?
Well, you're here because we both watched the movie Crawl last night. Crawl was the, what would you say, kind of suspense thriller movie that last year?
Yeah, it's more of like a suspense horror movie than I would say anything else because it's trying to be scary.
Yeah. But I figured, we both got a chance to watch it, so we would just have a little quick discussion on what we thought about it.
So I'm just going to start off by saying I need to back off the mic. No, what I was going to start by saying is just that I when I told you I said I wasn't going to take any notes. Oh, well, I said I would
Mm-hmm.
be lacking notes, and you said that's fine because you don't need to take a whole lot of notes.
Well, yeah, I guess it depends on how far you look into the movie.
But I should have because it's not sticking with me too well.
That's telling then, I guess, of how good or bad that movie actually was.
Well, yeah, I think by the way you're describing it, I think you like it more than I do. I would say that's a fair assessment.
I guess I just kind of enjoyed it for, like, in my review that I did for it on our website, I kind of just enjoyed it for what it was because I wasn't really expecting too much out of it. And I guess I'm also kind of a sucker for these kind of movies because I compared it to um, 47 Meters Down or The Shallows, those kind of movies where it's man versus monster. And, it's pretty basic down to its roots of what kind of movie it is. It doesn't do anything or try very hard to be anything other than just a simple kind of escape the monster ordeal.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, so the movie. So we didn't even go over what the plot of the movie is. There's a teenage girl. Not teen. Is she teen? Well, she's a
Mm-hmm.
college. Okay, you did not tell me the best part of the movie, which is that she is goes to the University of Florida and she is a Florida Gator. You didn't tell me.
Yeah, I thought that
You
was
didn't
pretty
tell me the
funny.
best part of the movie, which is that. Uh,
She's a swimmer for the Florida
yeah, you
Gators.
didn't. You missed that bit, and she has to go check on her estranged dad who is doing housework at the old family house, and there's gators. There's gators underneath the house, and there's a hurricane.
Well, and here I thought it was just one gator. I thought the whole movie was just one gator.
Yeah, then that is
But boy,
yeah, because then it becomes two, because there's really two, and then you
mm-hmm.
find out that the house was underneath a like gator nest, an alligator nest,
Which is funny.
and
Like that's the thing about this movie is everything kind of ironic or of course that happened pretty much happens. But I guess because I was taking it for what it was, I wasn't surprised by any of that and I was just loving every bit of it.
yeah, I was kind of like, it just couldn't. I would say I was. This is gonna sound mean, but it did keep my attention because when it was like suspenseful, like when you're like looking for the gator and when is it gonna pop up and get it or whatever. It is
Mm-hmm.
suspenseful. I will give it that. Or like when the police come, or the most Florida criminals I've ever seen come.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. They were stealing the ATM
Yeah,
machine.
because there's that gas station and it's a hurricane, so like there's nobody there, so they steal the ATM machine, which is the most Florida thing in this movie.
Well, there was also a Jaws reference. Did you pick up on that?
I mean, there's a lot of music cues that sound like Jaws, but I did not hear what the specific reference was.
Well, it's not. It wasn't like a bit of dialogue, but when they are like robbing the convenience store and the woman is in the boat, the gator jumps up on the back of the boat and is eating her as she's like sliding down the end of the boat that's tipped down. The same way kind of Quint was being eaten by the shark in Jaws at the very end of it. Where he's trying to kick his feet away, but the shark, or in this case the gator, was eating her legs.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I wouldn't think of that as like a reference because that's a pretty just yeah, that's just a pretty common I would say, like, scene or trope for these kind of movies to do, right?
Yeah, I guess it could just be my love for Jaws. I immediately thought about that.
Yeah. So, yep, now the college student and her dad are trapped in not a basement, it's a crawl space, right?
Very tall crawl
Yeah,
space.
I say basement, but it's Florida, so of course there's no basements. But yeah, the crawl space, and then it starts to flood, and they have to get out and get help and safety, and they do that.
I thought it was funny how they kind of make fun of themselves in the movie. Like, the movie itself makes fun of itself in some of the hilarious moments or the ridiculous moments. So, like, when it was early on the radio, they were saying something like, try to get to higher ground, don't be in low level areas. And the dad is like, yeah, no shit. And then later on, whenever they get to the boat finally, and it ends up wrecking or whatever, the levees break, and she's like, of course. Like, that's the same thing that I'm thinking. Of course that happened.
Yeah, it's just always trying to find the next thing to really, keep the story going. 'Cause the movie's not very long. It's like not even 90 minutes. I think it's like just over 80 minutes long. And even then, just to kind of show our differences, I felt it was still too long.
Yeah, because I kind of felt like, at just under 90 minutes, I was thinking, the movie didn't try to stretch itself too far. I mean, it had pretty decent pacing. I'd say the beginning was a little bit slower, but once you got towards the middle, when things started to pick up, I thought it kept at a pretty steady pace. And then I was glad that they didn't try to make it more than what it was. They just stopped it where it just needed to be stopped.
Well, I was more thinking, like, they spend way too long in the crawl space. I'm just kind of like, I know, I've seen the trailer for this movie. I know you get out and you have the coolest scene, which is her in the bathroom with the sliding glass door and the gator on the other side of it.
Oh, and then she jumps over it. I thought that was
she flips over it. That's like the best part of the movie for me. And I'm like, I know that happens, but they spend too much time in that crawl space, and I kind of want them to get out of the crawl space. Which I guess...
Yeah, because it was a little bit more interesting to see them have to navigate through the house with all the other, like, kind of different obstacles they had.
Yeah, I was about to say, I guess that's almost putting me in the characters' heads really well, because they also want to get out. But it's not the same thing, because they want to get out for a different reason than I want them to get out. They want to get out because they want to not die. I want them to get out because this is a boring location, and they don't set up the geography real well.
No, I had no idea, like, how the crawl space was set up. Like, when they said, go to this wall or go to that wall, I'm like, I have no idea what that means. I just know if you go near the stairs, you're going to get eaten.
Yeah, I think the most I got was, like, the stairwell, and then I guess you just go straight back, and then there's the pipes, which is lucky for them. But yeah, I think that because this movie is not about anything else other than just that crawl space and alligators. And they spend a long time with her down there, like, going to find her dad. If they did, like, more top-down stuff or something to give us a better location, because they know we're going to be here a while.
And I thought it was interesting that they kept it in the crawl space for so long, when you could have done a lot more with this movie if you would have branched out and kind of done the surrounding area too. But even then, they only really go anywhere outside of the house for all of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's just to get the boat later on.
Yeah, which could be cut, other than it's a cool little chase scene with her swimming.
So the levees breaking was my biggest thing. I talked to you about this, but I think that was the biggest missed opportunity towards the end of the movie, when you think the gator's going to get her when she's grabbing onto the gutter, which, by the way, that's a very, I don't know, low sea level area, or this is like a major flood.
I mean,
because that house was completely covered.
It is Cat 5, and they're not they're not in like northern Florida. They seem to be, because he has to leave Gainesville and go south. So it's probably even like Miami area, maybe. It's in the swamp, so, and it is a Category 5. But this.
But the biggest missed opportunity was that when that gator gets swept away by debris, I'm telling you, that should have just been because the levee's broke, and at that point more of the ocean is just coming in. That's when a shark should have just been coming by and got the gator. Not done anything to her, not changed the movie to a shark movie or anything like that, but just to where a shark just swims by and it's like, oh yeah, I got a gator. It would have been kind of a funny thing with how ridiculous the movie was already.
Yeah, that would do it. I think just the problem is that the movie doesn't have like a big moment in it, right? It's just so she's in her room when she has to go to her room, and then a gator breaks in and she has to like fight it and get out, which kind of is the climax, right? She has a flashback to her and her dad. And it's supposed to be a big character moment. I mean, it's not, but that's what it wants to be. And then you just repeat that scene when she gets out and onto the roof, trying to get to the roof. You only really need one of those. Because the flashback is her dad picking her up out of the water at a swim meet. And it's kind of the same thing, the dad picking her up out of the water to get onto the roof. Maybe that should have been that scene where like she's like overcoming her fear, I guess. But yeah, it kind of just ends with no big like major climax or anything.
And it kind of ended abruptly. Like I was expecting after them getting saved, but that never happened. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess the movie's over.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's no story after that. Is the problem is like,
well, I have a favorite part specifically. Do you have any specific moment that you thought was favorite moment or highlight moment of the movie?
Other than the incredibly flawed criminals and the bathroom, like, not fight, but that bathroom scene, those are really it. Those are my two favorites.
I'd say the bathroom scene is second for me, but the number one scene for me was when she starts crawling through the drainage pipe, and she steals the cop's gun. Not steals, but takes the cop's gun. And of course the gator like eats her whole arm, but it doesn't rip it off. Instead she just sits there and unloads the whole clip in its head, or in its mouth, and kills it.
Yeah, you'd think that would have been...
It was so ridiculous, but I loved it.
You'd think the gator would be dead, like, the first couple shots. Which is, like, one of those things... Well, I guess they were like, okay, the writing process, okay, there's the gun. But we can't give her a gun because now she's too powerful. Well, let's have the super gator for a scene that can take all of the bullets. And so we get rid of the gun. Okay. And then there's also the radio later where she has to go use the boat that crashes into her house to get the police radio. Because cops...
Couldn't she have just flipped the boat right side up?
Maybe, but you don't know if alligators are underneath.
That's true. I would have taken my shot, probably.
But of course, we didn't mention cops come, and of course they're useless.
I was actually really surprised because she knew that one cop because he was set up earlier in the movie. But whenever he came looking for her, and whenever they were like, "Stop! Don't come down! The gators are down here," I was like, oh, "Okay, so he's gonna be fine. The other cop's probably gonna die, but this guy's gonna be fine. He's gonna move that thing that was blocking their passage in the house, and that's how they're gonna escape, and it's gonna move on from there." But nope, the gator somehow figures out a way to leap out of the crawl space and grab him by the body and tear him down there.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Well, is it flood? Because I guess I thought it was like flooded, so it was flooded up to where he was. But then
Well, there were steps though. There were a couple a couple rows of
Yeah.
steps.
But it doesn't get the dog, which is, I mean, it's good because you know that dog is fine.
Yeah, even though the dog made the dad lose his
Yeah.
arm.
Well, you knew that was coming, right? Like when you're watching that scene, you're like,
Oh,
they're not
yeah.
going to kill off the dog. It's fine.
Look, I like my dog and all, but I don't know if I'd be willing to get out in front of a gator for him.
Wow, you go tell your dog that.
Poor guy.
Anyway,
I don't know. I would try at least.
you know, but in the movie, you knew the dog was going to be fine. It's a really tense scene, but you know the dog's going to be fine. And then it cuts to, of course, there's a gator right behind him, and it's going to grab him. I did not see losing the arm, though. That I did not expect.
It was kind of surprising, but I also kind of figured it at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, because it's all about how, like, ferocious they are. Which, I don't know, it's very... I don't There's lots of questions, but I guess they're questions that don't matter. Like, so they have the gator nest underneath, but it's set up earlier in the movie that there is the gator farm down the road. So is it a combination of both? Do they escape the farm to go to and have the nest, or they're not?
Well, I also thought it was a missed opportunity because we saw the little ones that were hatching. But I was half expecting them to, like, a whole bunch of the little ones to start grabbing onto her, just biting her. I mean, it wouldn't be as bad as a real gator, but that could have been a cool moment where there were a bunch of them just grabbing onto her.
Yeah.
But that never happened.
Yeah, maybe. It was just it's kind of a strange movie, I guess. It's fine. I didn't hate it. It's just not a movie that really stuck with me too much.
Yeah, no, I had to review my review of it just to make sure I didn't forget anything because, like you said, it's kind of just not a super memorable movie. But, I mean, I guess for me it was somewhat entertaining.
Yeah, because you like more of these, like, sea creature kind of Jaws-esque kind of movies. Well, for me, I mean, I like Jaws. Jaws is the good one. But that's because Jaws has really good characters in it. And this movie, I mean, I like the main character. I like the main lady a lot. She reminds me just of, like, how she acts and how, like, determined she is of the main character in Ready or Not. I got a lot of those same kind of vibes, which, I mean,
they feel very similar to me because I was thinking the same thing when I was
yeah,
watching
they have that exact same kind of goal. But in this movie, all of that, like, it has, like, that family drama, but it feels just kind of like this is a movie, so it needs to have this. When it really kind of doesn't, it doesn't matter that it has it.
Yeah, I guess I'd say if you're a fan like me of the movies 47 Meters Down and The Shallows,
Meg.
which, I mean, none of those are great. Well, Meg's a little bit different. That's a bit of a fun, like, pretty fun movie the whole time. But if you're a fan of those, then you're probably gonna like this movie quite a bit.
Yeah, and I'm not, like, I'm down on it, but it's not even because I hated it or had a bad time. I'm just kind of like, yep, it's a movie. I sure watched 80 minutes of alligators.
I thought it was pretty clever though that they did alligators instead of your typical kind of shark.
Yeah, which
movie.
is nice. That is a good mix. I will say that the effects for the gators are pretty hit and miss.
Yeah, I mean, there were some moments where I was like, yeah, that doesn't look entirely great. But at the same time, it feels like a B movie, but the effects are pretty great to, not be a B movie at the same time.
Yeah, they had some good looking shots. I think they maybe have used some practical gator stuff, because I don't know why you wouldn't in a movie like this.
In case they get eaten and for real.
Well, I wouldn't. No, not use an actual gator, but like have
them swimming.
yeah,
or
like
something.
puppets or something like that. No, I would not. I would not
Yeah.
say to have a real alligator on set in this movie.
Yeah, let's have a real.
No. Though, there should have been more, because I've seen gators in, like, aquariums and stuff. They are,
Mm-hmm.
like, very easy to make look like they're not moving if they're in water, because they only move when it's
Oh, I know it's scary,
and
isn't
when
it?
it's hunting time. So they could have. I wish they did a little bit more with that. Kind of like she thinks they're asleep or something, and then tries to go, but then like
Mm-hmm.
pounces like it's a cat.
Well, they kind of did that towards the end, when she's swimming through the
That's
drain
true.
pipe, and she's coming up, and that one is just kind of sitting there, and she's looking up at it, but then it like jerks its head towards her because it realizes
Yeah, the
she's there.
bubbles, her air bubbles,
Uh
which
huh.
is. I
Yeah.
do like. Okay, so here's another thing I like, because this movie is good in some ways. It sets up that she locks the back door. When she goes to visit her dad, she
Oh
locks the
yeah.
back door, and then she has to tries to go in through the back and has to break it to get in. That's
Uh huh. That was kind of
that
clever,
was
wasn't
good.
it?
I was proud of that. I was like, you remember parts of your movie. That's good.
I also like that she couldn't break it on the first
Yeah, that's
try.
also good.
Because normally they're always so easy in movies, and she's just like, shit, couldn't break it the first time. How to do it
Yeah.
again?
Well, that's one of those things in movies that you kind of almost have to give it. Like, yeah,
Oh, and
it's not
and here,
realistic, but it's a movie. We don't want to be here all day while she's pounding on that glass door for 20 minutes.
yeah, and here I am worried about, uh, or not so worried about her getting eaten by an alligator, but as soon as she has to walk through that door on the broken glass, I'm wincing because I'm imagining how bad that
I
must
know,
hurt.
that must suck. And then she has to save her dad from like by breaking open the bottom of that thing,
Yeah,
which
which is pretty
yeah.
good.
Uh One thing that bothers me in these kind of movies, just like all horror movies like this, is how when we do
Mm-hmm.
have character stuff, it is often like so separate from like the horror, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
they're having this very sweet moment when in reality they would not, because there's like a gator right behind them. So they should be moving, and you're
Yeah.
like, no, like, we're gonna have this moment. I'm gonna talk to you about your mom and why we didn't work and what you mean to me. But really, it's like, there's a gator like a couple yards from us. Can we save this? Let's get out first.
I want to know the actual realistics of her being able to outswim a gator.
That's a
in
great
water.
point. I was actually thinking of looking that up, but I did not do that. So
Because I feel like if she can outswim a gator in the water, she should probably be an Olympic swimmer.
alligators swim. They can swim 20 miles an hour.
There's no way the person can swim that
Fastest
quick.
human swimmer. Fastest human swim speed. 22.29. Oh, my
2.2.
in meters per second. Is that right? That no, tell me miles per hour. The French swimmer Frédéric Bosquet set world record in the 50 meter freestyle with a time of 20.94 in 50 meters in about 21 seconds.
Was that in
I
miles
have
per
no
hour?
idea. But so it's negligible. I guess.
I give it a pass though, just for the entertaining factor.
Well, yeah. I was kind of, because it's, her trying to become, she's scared because her character thing is that she's scared that she's not a good swimmer and that she's stagnated and that she has to prove herself now by outswimming for her life, which, I mean, I guess it works, but I think anybody would be able to do that if they're like her and can swim really well.
Mm-hmm. But I guess that's about it. I mean, there's really just not a whole lot to this movie outside of just the basic, what you see is what you
Yeah,
get.
if you like alligators and you like people stuck in small places and you like movies that are kind of in real time. Kind of. It cheats a little, but it's fine.
You might enjoy this movie. At least get some friends. Well, if you can get some friends together, or your family together, if you guys just want a good time where you don't have to worry about stressing too much about what's going on in a movie, this is definitely your kind of movie.
Yeah, you can miss a lot of the plot because it doesn't matter as long as you know alligator bad, human good.
The basic plot.
I mean, do you have anything else to add to that plot description?
Nope, that's about as accurate as you can get.
Alright, well then if you have nothing else to add, follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Tower City Media, as well as subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, and if you guys have seen the movie and you have your own comments or questions, then feel free to send us those comments or questions at our email, towercitymedia@gmail.com. And we'll see you guys on our next review.
Like, comment, subscribe.